Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chris here, and welcome back to Mugen. Yeah, I know, it's been a really long time since we did our last Mugen video, but, I've been getting back into Mugen recently, and, I've upgraded my Mugen. We've got this cool little Capcom versus SNK theme going on here, and, of course, I have a bunch of new Baki Mugen characters and a lot of old faces, if you remember the old videos. And I also have the entire roster of the first Street Fighter game, the entire roster of the first Mortal Kombat game, and right now the entire roster of the first Fatal Fury game. I do plan to add more, Mugen characters in the future, and I'll be pitting them up against Grappler Baki characters, as you could probably come to expect from stuff on the channel. But for now, if you've read the video title, you know that this is going to be Grappler Baki versus Street Fighter. So basically I'll be taking characters that are somewhat similar in Baki and in Street Fighter, and I'll be pitting them up against each other. Like, for example, for Baki, we have our Japanese martial arts master protagonist of the series, and his white blonde rival, versus, in Street Fighter, the Japanese martial arts master protagonist of the series, and his white blonde rival. I've got like 77 different maps, and some of them even have background music, so that's kind of fun. But I've got maps from King of Fighters, Fatal Fury, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, just a bunch of different games, so we'll have lots of different variety for backgrounds. We got all these cool characters. Let's get into it and see who wins between Grappler Baki and Street Fighter. So if I were to place bets right now, I'd probably have to give the edge to Baki, in my opinion. We got a cool King of the Fighters map in the background, but I'd give it to Baki because he's like a savant in melee combat, and the name of his game is versatility. He's got tons of variety, and he's got an answer for every single problem, and a technique for every single situation. For Ryu, as the prototypical Shoto character, he's got a very simple moveset, but his two strengths are his anti-air and his Shoryuken, so you can't jump in on him, and he's got his Hadouken, which he can use to push a person back and zone them from a range. So he's trying to get range on Baki here, and he's actually doing a pretty good job, but Baki's going to close the distance with the cockroach tackle. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He's got a move for every situation. He's got counters. He's got, in the form of the King Tiger technique. He's got endorphins to boost his damage reduction, and give him some health back. Even, I think, it makes his AI a bit more aggressive. He's got grapples like the Spinning Lotus. He's got the cockroach tackle, and, as you guys will find out, the Triceratops Fist for rush-down, close-in type attacks. He just activated his endorphins there, so I don't see Ken lasting much longer. But Ken and Ryu both have really solid movesets. As you can see, their AI is pretty decent. They're able to do a pretty good job in close range, and you see Ken applying pressure here where he's backing Baki all the way to the edge of the screen, especially with those Shoryukens, but Baki just hit him with a Mach Fist. Ooh, Ken is actually able to take the win for the round. He goes from a mid to a low with that low kick. And now let's see if Ken, with only a smidge of health left, is enough to take out Jack Hanma. Now, I know his sprite looks a little funky, but the character is accurate to the manga, and he looks like Jack, so that's pretty much all we can ask for at this point. And Jack pretty much dominates the round. His character is kind of like a tanky rushdown type, so not a very good combination against the more basic moveset of the Street Fighter characters. But for our next combination here, we have the entire set for Street Fighter. So I'll basically be just picking a Baki character to match a Street Fighter character, and I'll be going through the whole Street Fighter roster. But for now, we're going with the Japanese fighters from Street Fighter, which is Geki the Ninja, and of course Retsu, the Shorinji Kenpo Master. Now, fun fact for those of you that don't know, Itagaki Kisuke, the creator of Grappler Baki, is actually a black belt holder in the martial art of Shorinji Kenpo. Now, to combat the ninja weapon-using, kind of stealth-based Japanese martial artist, we're going to have Gaia, who is also a master of weapon use and stealth. And as far as Retsu, as he is a traditional Japanese martial artist, we'll actually be using Shozan Matsuo from Garden. Now, for those of you that don't know, Shozan Matsuo is kind of like a mix of Yujiro Hanma and Doppo Orochi. He's the strongest person in Garden, and he's pretty dominantly head over heels above everyone else, but he's a karate practitioner based off of Masoyama, damn, that map looks cool. I'm definitely digging the crucifixes on either side. It's very cool symmetry, but let's see how Retsu does against Gaia here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna exit. I kind of want Gaia to fight Geki and Retsu to fight Shozan. Yeah, I want it to be kind of symmetrical. I want them to kind of match. I guess we won't have the same cool map, but this is pretty cool. I'm trying to remember where I got this map from. If I had to guess, I'd say it's Fatal Fury, but I do not remember whose map this is. Like, there's a map for, like, every individual fighter in Fatal Fury, but I just can't remember whose map this is. I want to say it's a Chinese martial artist because of all the Chinese imagery in the background, but regardless, we have this match between Geki and Gaia, and Geki right now is dominating. He has a lot of those kind of small consecutive hits. We got a versatile match here. We had the shurikens from Geki versus the water bullet dirt throwing technique from Gaia, but Geki was actually able to take the win with so little damage that the health he got back from winning the round brought him back up to full. So yeah, Shozan is kind of the exact opposite of Geki. Geki's like main thing is no knockback, and he does a little damage, but he's able to hit you a bunch of times consecutively, whereas Shozan will just walk you down and beat the dog shit out of you. He does so much damage with his attacks. Like I said, in the respect that he's a karate practitioner based off of Masoyama, he's a lot like Doppo, but in the sense that, like, he hits like a monster, and, like, he has super armor on some of his, like, idle animations and attack animations. In that respect, as Retsu just very clearly found out, this man is like the Yujiro Hanma of Garuden, and he is a beast. Also, for those of you that don't know, the reason why we're having a Garuden character on the quote-unquote Baki team is because, as you can kind of tell from the art style, Itagaki Kisuke actually illustrated a manga based off of the Garuden novel. So, it's kind of Baki adjacent. Also, they're having a crossover right now. They had a novel crossover where the author of Garuden, Baku, actually wrote like a crossover with Baki, but right now they're doing I don't think it's illustrated by Itagaki Kisuke, but the story is written by both Baku and Itagaki, and they're doing like a crossover called Baki Gaiden Yuanichi Amusement Park, I believe it's called, or something along those lines, and it's very interesting, very cool. But anyway, back to the Mugen stuff. We're gonna do Spec, the white American, versus and we'll also grab Oliver, the black American, versus Joe, the white American, and Mike, the black American. Yeah, like, oh wait, did I? Oh, I'm tripping out here. I'm totally grabbing all the wrong people. Let's just back out of this. Let's grab Spec, and I don't know why I went down and grabbed Joe. Oliver, there we go. And then on Street Fighter team, we've got Joe and Mike. Let's hit a random map. So like I said, there are parallels. Oh, that is sick. They got the two Grim Reapers. A lot of the King of Fighters maps look very similar, but the background stuff is really, like, the cool part, right? You have the same, like, ground stage, but all the background stuff is awesome. Also, Spec is over here slamming Joe in the head with park benches, and he just did the bullet chomp. He just shoved the bullets in his mouth. He's giving him the rear naked choke. Joe tried to put up a fight, but Spec is kind of a beast. As for what I was saying before, yeah, I say counterparts between Baki and Street Fighter, but some of the counterparts, some of the parallels are a bit looser than I'd like. If I had an Ollie Jr. Mugen, I'd put him against Mike. Or if I had an Iron Michael Mugen, I'd put him up against Mike. Mike being absolutely destroyed by the apnea rush here. Usually Mike's a little more competitive. Yeah, let's see some fight back from the guy based off of Mike Tyson. Come on. I guess he doesn't stand much of a chance if you're slamming him in the skull with park benches. But yeah, the kind of parallels between Spec and Joe, not as much as if I had a Rob Robinson Mugen. You know, you'd have the American kickboxer versus the American kickboxer, and you'd have Mike Tyson versus Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, whatever the case. But we're not seeing a lot from or we didn't see a lot from Oliver that round. So what I'll actually do is I will set Oliver as the first, Spec as the second. We'll actually swap them to see if Oliver can put on a great show, because Oliver's one of my favorite Mugens. That is a very interesting background there. That stage kind of looks like they're on the moon or something. But of course it wouldn't have a sky. Anyway, yeah, Oliver's got like his towel throw technique. He's incredibly powerful, but he's kind of slow, so it's kind of true to form. I wouldn't say Oliver is particularly slow in Baki, but I would say that he is, like, he's not a skill-based fighter. He's all brute force, right? He can do skill. Ooh, he just missed a powerful attack, and it cost him a lot of meter. That's a good thing about Mike in his boxing. Yes, he's got fast hits. He's not particularly a hard hitter, but he hits fast, and he's good at being evasive, which is bad for Oliver. But unfortunately, Oliver's power seems to have, you know, kind of taken the round. Let's see if Joe can do something. Oliver's also got his Ron Shobun destroying headbutt, as you can see there. But I see that Joe is kind of trying to stay competitive here. He's not going to let the goat up without a fight. But Oliver's just such a powerhouse. Oh, here he goes. This is one of my favorite techniques to see him do. He goes into his ball form, and then he does the Pac-Man. And he's really good about the timing, too. He rarely ever misses that one. I think the attack that he missed on Mike is when he grabbed Baki and slammed him into the ground so hard, it was compared to a fall from a 7-story building. That attack does a shit ton of damage. But that was a fun round. I'm enjoying... I've actually done a couple of takes of this so far. And I've got to say, in my first couple of takes, the Street Fighter characters weren't very competitive. Usually, it's more along the lines of this, where, yeah, the Grappler Baki characters, on average, end up having the better AI, or being stronger, having better stats, and end up winning the round. But the Street Fighter characters typically don't go down without a fight. They are consistently, you know, middle of the pack kind of Mugen, not like totally insane like Berserker Sagat or Orochi Joe Higashi, you know, not something insane, or Master Rugal or Omega Rugal, or even Kenshiro from Fist of the Northern Star. All of those Mugens are ones that I've seen that kind of like go crazy, but they're nothing like that, but they do typically put up a pretty decent fight. So now we're going to have Hanayama Kaoru and Gaia. We're going to bring Gaia back. We're actually going to do his Emperor form this time, which, you know, for those of you that don't know, the Gaia, the normal Gaia is, you know, a normal Baki Mugen character, but the Emperor Gaia is like an insane version of Gaia. It's super cheap. He gets like total bar regen all the time. His AI is like cranked up to 20, so we'll drop him in the event that Hanayama loses, which I don't find to be likely due to reasons you'll find out soon. Gaia will be there to kind of clean up, but we're going to be pitting Hanayama, the thug built like a shit brick house, against Birdie, the thug built like a brick shit house. And we're going to be pitting Gaia, the weapon expert, against Eagle, who is in his own right a bit of a weapons expert. He has 2 elbow blade style batons that he likes to use to beat the shit out of people. I believe they're called Tonfa. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. But yeah, let's see where they end up on the map. Okay, this is a pretty cool map. You got the Bruce Almighty Moon in the background. You got this cool desert scene. You know, you got the wind blowing. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of that gives me Ozymandias vibes. For those of you that know the poem of Ozymandias. Now, the reason why I say that it's unlikely that Birdie is going to be able to beat Hanayama is, as you guys can see, Birdie puts up some pretty decent numbers for damage. But Hanayama is kind of... Oh, there's Kanzaki. Oh, he actually used the iframes from his super attack to dodge. Hanayama's Mugen deals a shit ton of damage with every single attack, as you can see there. They cause, like, explosions when they hit. His Mugen actually also has super armor on all of his, like, animations, so he can't really be stunned. Now, that does turn out to be a weakness for him when he's fighting more agile-style characters like Mike, or even Eagle in this instance, or any of the other characters that I've mentioned are kind of agile when it comes to their fights, but Hanayama's just outputting so much damage. He can come in, or he can call Kanzaki. He can also call T-Rex, for any of you that are familiar with the Kizazura and Scarface Baki Gaidens. He can call out T-Rex, who does a shit ton of damage. Hanayama is more of like a boss-style Mugen character, so you need some kind of, you know, middle-of-the-pack Mugen AI is not going to be enough to take out Hanayama. I've seen him lose to middle-of-the-pack Mugen AI, but it usually takes a lot of his AI bugging out, which can happen from time to time, but he's incredibly powerful with that super armor, with his massive damage numbers, with the fact that he can call a bunch of allies. I mean, they don't stay on the field, but they do decent damage while they're there, so I would not expect the likes of Birdie and Eagle to be able to take him out, but I've seen Bergie, that's their ship name, Bergie. No, I've seen Birdie get pretty close to actually taking Hanayama out, but with his big damage numbers. But what we're gonna do is, just so that you guys can see, there is no question that Gaia will win, but just so that you guys can see, I will pit Gaia up against Eagle and Birdie, so that you guys can see how much of a monster he is. So the match hasn't even started yet, and as you can see, his C groove, his meter, has already started to build. Also, we finally got a Mortal Kombat map. We got the Pit, which is one of the cooler maps. Alright, so, you know, Birdie's kind of competitive, but look at this Gaia. He slams them against the wall. He juggles them with the grass blade. He's literally sitting there juggling him. He's using stun lock to not let him get to the ground. He is using the exact amount of frames needed to keep him in that stun locked position. That is disgusting. Anyway, even if he hadn't cheesed the shit out of Eagle here and done this stupid 40-hit combo stun lock bullshit, as you can see, he's already got 3 meters, and he's got a ton of techniques, right? All 3 versions of Gaia. I have the normal Gaia, I have the Emperor Gaia, and I have the Emperor Gaia version 2, which is actually a better version of this already kind of cheesy-ass Gaia. And Gaia is persistent to land his Vine Art attack against Birdie. Birdie was able to block it the first time, but as we can see, not so much the second time. And we're actually seeing his Scream attack. For those of you that don't remember, he used this on both Baki and Sikorsky, and it basically stuns a person. And he's going to use that stun opportunity to slam Birdie into the ground over and over until he gets the W. So yeah, Gaia is not a force to be he is a force to be reckoned with. His normal Mugen is pretty good, but his Emperor Mugens, this first one, pretty solid. It could probably take out everybody else on the roster except for Lethal Weapon Katsumi, which is like a cheap, broken version of Katsumi, and Hell Yujiro, which again is a cheap, broken version of Yujiro. And I don't know how he'd do against Yujiro. But this second version is definitely one of the stronger characters on the entire roster so far, and probably will remain one of the stronger characters on the entire roster even after I fill out all of these boxes. Alright, so for our second to last couple of matches, we're going to be pitting the Kung Fu Master Retsu Kaio and the Kung Fu Master Dorian Kaio versus the Kung Fu Masters of Street Fighter, Gen and Lee. So it'll be the 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts, the 2 Kung Fu masters from the Byaku Rinji Kenpo style of Kung Fu, I do believe it's called, versus Gen, the Drunken Fist or Mantis Master. I'm not quite sure. He seems to have elements of both, but if I had to put a definitive answer, I'd probably say Drunken Fist based off of how he holds his hands when he blocks. So Gen, the Drunken Fist Master, and Lee, the Baji Quan Master. So I have to say that if I had to pick out one of the most middle-of-the-pack AIs out of all the Grappler Baki characters, I'd say it's Retsu. He's got a lot of good skills, but, I've seen him lose to characters like Gen and Lee before, and Gen's no slouch, don't get it twisted, but I don't know if Retsu's actually, I was going to say, I don't know if Retsu's going to be able to make a comeback. Gen was kind of staying low and close to the ground and kind of ducking under all of Retsu's attacks, but let's see if Dorian is able to take it back. Now, of course, he has all of his cheating techniques on top of his kung fu. He's got his piano wires, he's got his grenades, he's got, of course, his flasks of alcohol that he can use to set the person on fire there. He actually gets, as you can see, 2 of those per round, and after those 2 have been used, he gets another 2 at the beginning of the next round, but he cannot use any more for that round. And he's going to go ahead and finish off Gen with those piano wires. So let's see if Dorian can clutch the win here and beat Lee, the Baji Quan Master. So Lee's pretty good. I don't know if I'd say he's better than Gen. I'd probably say Gen is the better of the 2, but with Dorian, using his fire flasks to juggle Gen into the corner here, and then Oh, he actually missed his piano wire. He had to follow up with a grab because the piano wire missed. So he used up some bar with that, and, unfortunately, it seems like it did not matter because Dorian was able to take the W against Lee. Now, we have a bit of a conundrum here. See, you've noticed that Dorian has won, but the match is not ending. And that is because, as you guys can hear, he is singing Au Toi La Vie, which is a bop. I love the original version. I love how Dorian sings it in the manga. I love how he sings it in the anime. I love how he sings it here. The problem is, this end cutscene thing that Dorian has, unskippable. You have to sit through the whole thing. Now, it doesn't last long. It's only like 30 seconds, but still, I have to sit here for 30 seconds watching these flame JPEGs in the background, these flame GIFs kind of burning up, and the crackling of the red lightning on the ground, and, you know, watching Dorian sing Au Toi La Vie over Lee's corpse until we're good to go, apparently. Now, I don't think Retsu got a fair shake, so we will actually run that back, the exact same, and see if we can see a little more from Retsu. Okay, the fire JPEGs from the last one seem to have gotten a bit out of control. We're gonna keep on rocking, see if Retsu can put up a bit more of a competitive fight this time around. And who knows, he might be able to both put up a competitive fight, and the Street Fighter characters may still actually win. I say that with a bit of grain of salt because this is the first time Gen is actually hitting Retsu in the entire round, and he is almost dead. He got hit with that same throw that Jaku got hit with in the Raitai tournament, and definitely hit him for some bad damage, and just like Katsumi in the Maximum tournament, he is going down to a Sunkei punch that just launches him across the screen. Now let's see if Lee and his Baji Quan are able to stand up with to Retsu Kaio and his 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts, his 4,000 years of Chinese best waifu. You know, we got the pressure point technique that he used to draw out Baki's Hanma blood in the Maximum tournament. Ooh, okay. Lee has been subjected to the true spinning lotus. You know, we saw Baki do the spinning lotus earlier, but Retsu is the one and only master of the technique so far as we know in the series. But we see him busting out invisible squashes to kind of keep it the range game. Lee also has a kind of ranged option. He keeps spamming that fireball technique, but it does not have great range. It just kind of extends to medium range. And fortunately for me, because I wanted to kind of show off Retsu's Mugen character, he is able to take down both Gen and Lee. Now, for our actual final fight of this episode of Mugen, we are going to finish off our Grappler Baki vs. Street Fighter coverage with 2 powerhouses and 2 final bosses. The powerhouse hard hitters, Pickle. Where did I put my Pickle? There he is. Don't clip that or take it out of context. Pickle and Yujiro, the powerhouse and final boss, versus Adon, the powerhouse, and Victor Sagat, the final boss of the original Street Fighter arcade game. And with this badass background, our fight starts. Now, I'm hedging my bets right now and saying that Pickle is going to demolish Adon. Adon's a hard hitter, as to be expected with a Muay Thai fighter, Muay Thai being one of the most powerful standing martial arts in the world. But for all of Adon's power, and you know, he's putting up a pretty decent fight, Pickle is just insane. He's got super armor on so many different animations and attacks, and he hits like a monster. If he stops playing around with his AI being all stupid, he destroys Adon. Now, I hope he doesn't make a liar out of me and, like, get his shit rocked by Adon here. But, yeah, as you can see, all it took was, like, 3 or 4 hits, and that jumping attack he did to Jack during their second fight, I want to say, where he blitzed towards Jack so fast he didn't even see it, and he totally destroyed Adon. Now, I will say, if I had to put my money on one of the 2 fighters, I would be a little more cautious here. I think Sagat has a pretty decent chance. He just used 3 meters to use some blast attacks to keep Pickle at range, and he actually took out a very decent chunk of Pickle's health. But Pickle's going to use his rushdown attack, and he's going to come back, but Sagat is able to use the last bit of his meter to bust out, I think that's the Tiger Rush attack. I'm not too familiar with the Street Fighter attack names, but he is actually able to put Pickle down. I gotta tell you, Victor Sagat, his AI and his attacks are incredibly powerful. He is the only one in the entire Street Fighter Mugen, like first arcade version, that I would say is above middle of the pack, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough for Yujiro, who just kind of comes in and sweeps him up faster than I can even get out any meaningful commentary. So, that's going to do it for this episode of Mugen. I hope you guys enjoyed. As you can see, I've got a ton of Mugen characters here from Grappler Baki, and of course other series too. I have 3 JUS style characters. I have this one, which I think has a better AI, and this one, which is like the closest to the JUS style, you know, the small little pixel fighters you see in all the more popular Mugen videos. We have a Baki who, despite his character icon there, is kind of like a kid Baki. His AI is like on the weaker side. I don't think he has too many different moves. He's a bit weaker, right? Then we have Baki from the beginning of the series. You know, the character's AI and his attacks kind of match the character image right there. He's on the lower end of middle of the pack. I would say that this Mugen is bad. This Mugen is on the lower end of middle tier. And this Baki is kind of like maximum tournament to current. He's got like Cockroach Dash. He's got the Triceratops Fist. He's got the King Tiger. He's got all the best techniques that Baki uses across the series. And his Mugen AI, as you guys were able to see, is actually pretty solid. We also have his brother Jack Hanma, his father Yujiro Hanma, a broken as hell strongest character on the entire roster version of Yujiro Hanma called Hell Yujiro, and of course we have Oliver, Hanayama, Spec, Pickle, 3 different versions of Gaia, the normal version, the broken version, and the super broken version. We also have Dorian, Retsu, Doppo, of course, Katsumi, a super broken version of Katsumi called the Ultimate Weapon Katsumi, and 3 different versions of Shozan. I think this one is like the middle version, the remix version is the best version, and this one is the first version. Kind of hard to tell because these 2 are almost identical, but of course, other than that, we have a bunch of different characters from different fighting games, and I look forward to your suggestions on who I should add next. If nobody wants to suggest anything, I'll go ahead and move forward with Grappler Baki versus Mortal Kombat. We'll see how that goes. If I had to say, it'll probably actually be a bit more competitive than this one. I actually expect to see the Street Fighter characters actually win some rounds, because I gotta tell you, they're like Johnny Cage. If I had to pick out like the dark horses that could actually win their fights, I'd say it's Johnny Cage, Shang Tsung for sure, and probably Liu Kang. Those 3 Mugen fighters for the original Mortal Kombat roster are pretty crazy. But anyway, that'll be for next video. Expect to see that soon. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, let me know in the comment section down below. What did you like about the video, and who do you want to see fight Grappler Baki next? Just let me know all that great stuff in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more Grappler Baki fighter-style content, or any Mugen content. And, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's some, I don't know, lawn mowing, wood chipping happening next to me. I live in hell. Anyway, okay, that's interesting. Everything's falling apart. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.